So you have a family member that wants to become a cop. Let's talk about the 5 ways you can expect them to change. Hey guys, what's going on? I am sorry it has taken me so long to get a video out. This week has been absolutely chaotic. To make a long story short, I'm going out of town in a couple of weeks, and the way it works for us is if you're going out of town on a week that you're going to be on call, you have to swap with somebody else. So I was on call twice this week, and both times I ended up getting called out.
Yay!
So needless to say, I have not had much of a chance to get out a video. But I get a lot of emails all the time from people that are saying either their significant other or a family member is getting into law enforcement, and they want to know what to expect to change for that person. So I decided to come up with the top 5 most common changes that you are going to see for that individual. Number 5, expect that person to lose their entire identity. I don't mean they're literally going to lose their identity, but ever since I became a cop, there's a lot of things that changed as far as people's perception towards me. It's almost like once you become a cop, you no longer have a first name. Perfect example would be having a family get together, right? You're having a cookout, maybe barbecue, whatever. The moment you show up, there's always going to be somebody that stands up and yells out something stupid. Hide the beer, the police are here. And at some point, somebody is bound to throw their hands up and say, I didn't do it, and start laughing hysterically like it's the first time you've ever heard that. This is the 3rd time you've said that this week, Ron. Shut up. And it's funny the first few times, and even to this day, you still kind of have to laugh it off, because people think it's funny for whatever reason. But you, at that point, are no longer yourself. You are now the police. Be prepared for a few of your friends to stop talking to you altogether, and other friends are only going to call you whenever they have a legal question or they need some sort of advice or a ticket dropped. Hey man, can you help me out with this speeding ticket I got the other day? We are 35 years old, Ron, and I have not talked to you since high school. No, I will not help you. Stop speeding. Click. Ron's a dick, isn't he? Number 4, you no longer have weekends off. Your weekend will consist of maybe a Monday and Tuesday, maybe a Wednesday and Thursday, and so forth. But very rarely will you ever have Saturday and Sunday off. And if you are lucky enough to work at a department that has alternating shifts, maybe you'll get 2 weekends a month. Or maybe you're on a permanent shift and you don't get any weekends a month. It really depends on the department, the scheduling, and so forth. And until you get some time under your belt and you've got some time saved up for vacation, go ahead and expect to work every holiday for the first 2 years that you're an officer. If you're lucky and you actually work in the jurisdiction that you live, maybe your department will be nice enough to let you go home and watch your kids open up a few presents, only to be called on the radio for some violent crime you have to haul ass for. And as you are pulling out of your driveway, watching your whole family have fun on Christmas morning, you are wondering why you got into this. Now something on a good note. Number 3, be ready to have an entirely new family. As soon as that badge is pinned on your chest, be prepared for your kids to have hundreds of aunts and uncles that will protect them just as much as blood family will. That is one of the good things about law enforcement. You know, everybody always talks about this whole brotherhood thing, and it's really no different than any other job. The people you work with, you have something in common with, right? You grow bonds, and it's really no different in police work. It's just a different type of work. So anytime you have a cookout or a get together, there's gonna be a ton of officers there that are sharing stories. You guys are laughing together. 90% of the night will consist of police stories. And after years of working together, you guys are gonna start telling stories of when you were new, maybe a shootout you got into, maybe a suspect you had to fight. You're gonna talk about funny moments. You might talk about an officer you caught sleeping. It just depends on what kind of experiences you have. Cops are nosy. There is no doubt about that. And we all like to know what's going on. We all share information with each other. But if you are a spouse of somebody that is getting into law enforcement, be prepared for these kind of nights. You're going to have a whole bunch of cops at your house, everybody from detectives to traffic cops to patrol to drug units. You're going to have a whole ton of cops at your house getting drunk. I remember going to this party one time, and I was still a relatively new officer at the time. And we went over to a senior officer's house. The sergeant, the lieutenant, everybody on shift was there with their wives, girlfriends, whatever. So we're sitting there, we're having a good time, we're having some drinks, and we're just kind of chilling out. And for God's sakes, do not ever be the first one to fall asleep at a police party. So I'm sure you guys can tell where I'm probably going with this. Yes, I was the first one to pass out. I cannot hold my liquor. So little old me passes out on the couch in the garage, not thinking much about it. Everybody's kind of playing pool and just hanging out. I wake up to this excruciating pain in my leg, only to find out that I am currently being tased. Luckily, I was not shot with the prongs. They took the cartridge off and they zapped me on the inside of my leg, and it hurt like a bitch. Then one of the officer's wives took off her shirt and started dancing with the lieutenant on the pool table. It was wild. But the biggest thing you'll notice as a spouse of somebody that has just become or is becoming an officer, The first time you have one of these parties, you are going to sit there and you are going to watch everybody, and something's going to click in your mind, and you're going to look around at all these people that are laughing, they're having fun, maybe they're holding their kids and they're all playing together, and the first thing that's going to come to your mind is that you cannot believe that there are people out there that want to ambush and kill these people, especially people that have never been around law enforcement. If you don't have family that's in law enforcement, this is kind of a hard hitter. I mean, it's a whole different world watching your spouse go through this transformation, basically. How they think is going to change, how they act is going to change. Everything is going to change about them because it's a lifestyle. It's not just so much a job. Sometimes you just want it to be a job, but it happens to become a lifestyle. Number 2, start to expect a little bit of resentment towards the public and the media. Most people that are in law enforcement for any amount of time start to build a little bit of a resentment, I guess, toward the public, and let me explain why. Between news media outlets, being pushed by commissioners, being pushed by the public, dealing with the type of people that we deal with, you build this natural resentment. So if you are a spouse of somebody that is a law enforcement officer, make sure to remind them why they are in this job. Make sure to remind them that the majority of people in the public are upstanding people. It's hard to keep sight of that when all you deal with is the trash. As the old saying goes, people that are around nails all the time start to become a hammer. And it took me a long time to realize that. I guess you could kind of call it like a trained behavior. I don't really know what to call it, but make sure you reel them in. Make sure to bring them back to reality and remind them why they got into this job to begin with. And last but not least, number 1, be ready for your loved one's sense of humor to change drastically. When you guys are at a wedding and the bride is walking down and she trips, or if you guys are at a funeral and one of the pallbearers trips, be prepared for your significant other to bust out laughing at the most awkward and inconvenient time. Being in this job for so long, you start to build this weird sense of humor. Like certain things that people would think you are crazy for laughing at are hilarious. And I think to some extent it's kind of like a natural defense to seeing gruesome stuff all the time. You just kind of build that sixth sense of humor. And it's really something that nobody would understand outside of that unless they're exposed to that kind of stuff all the time. Like morticians or people in the military, like they understand that kind of humor. But a lot of people don't, and a lot of people are probably going to look at your partner like they're crazy. So there you have it, guys. That is the top 5 ways your partner or loved one is going to change once they get into law enforcement. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I have to rush home and work on a separate video project I am working on right now. Lots to do and not enough hours in the day. Anyway, guys, if you have any ideas for video topics, let me know in the comments section below and I will try to address them. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you guys very soon.